We all know the names Godzilla, Kong, Ghidorah, but beneath those headline titans are creatures just as powerful, and in some ways even more important, that barely get remembered. Some of them reshape environments, others influence the balance of nature itself, but because they don't fire beams or headline movie posters, they get pushed aside. So today, we're digging them up, the most underrated monsters in the entire MonsterVerse. And trust me, the last one on this list might be the most important titan that you've never heard of. If you've ever paused a MonsterVerse scene and thought, wait, who was that thing in the background? Hit like and subscribe, because today we're giving those monsters a spotlight they deserve, and you're gonna wish you noticed them sooner. Let's talk about the titan that deserves way more than a background cameo, Behemoth. He shows up in Godzilla King of the Monsters for maybe 30 seconds max. Just a massive, lumbering, woolly mammoth gorilla hybrid stomping out of the Amazon rainforest while Monarch loses their collective mind. And then nothing. No follow-up, no showdown, not even a single roar. But don't let the screen time fool you. This thing might be one of the most important titans in the entire MonsterVerse, and almost no one's talking about it. Behemoth is classified as a terrestrial titan, meaning he's grounded. No wings, no breath attacks, no space god powers like Ghidorah, but that's exactly what makes him dangerous in a different way. This titan doesn't attack nature, he is nature. Living, breathing, stomping, environmental equilibrium. In the novelization of King of the Monsters, Behemoth is confirmed to have a terraformation effect. His mere presence restores damaged environments. Forests grow back behind him. Polluted zones revert to clean, lush ecosystems. His footprints sprout greenery. He's basically the Monarch-approved version of Ferngully, if Ferngully was 300 feet tall and could ragdoll tanks. This directly ties into the film's core theme, Titans as agents of balance. Where Ghidorah disrupted the planet's climate and ecosystems through chaos and domination, Behemoth helps stabilize them through sheer biological presence. He's not a king, he's not a predator. He's a custodian of the natural world, and that's honestly way scarier if you think about it. Because if Behemoth is awake and moving, that means the planet's in a bad shape. This is the creature nature deploys when humanity has messed up the environment so badly, it has to send a skyscraper-sized mammoth to hit the reset button. Visually, Behemoth is one of the most original designs in the MonsterVerse. He's got the tusks and fur of woolly mammoth, but the posture and arms of a gorilla. He even has the claws and bulk of a prehistoric ground sloth. That's not just artistic flair, it's functional biology. The mammoth elements suggest cold weather resilience. The gorilla arms suggest strength and tool-like use of the forelimbs. The sloth trait hints at his role as a slow but unstoppable force of natural change. He's designed not for speed or flight, but for persistence, a juggernaut that just keeps moving forward, changing the world with every footstep. And those tusks aren't just for show. In Titan scale combat, they're essentially natural siege weapons. Curved and bladed, they could gore right through Kaiju armor, throw entire buildings aside, or impale threats the size of buses. We see glimpses of this in the Dominion comic series, where Behemoth is shown actively defending the planet against threats like Amhaluk. He's not a pacifist, he's a reluctant warrior, one who fights not out of rage, but out of duty. Here's the crazy part. After all that lore, power, and symbolic weight, Behemoth is completely absent from Godzilla vs. Kong. He's not in the Hollow Earth. He doesn't show up in any of the battles. He's not even mentioned by Monarch, despite being one of the titans that bowed to Godzilla at the end of the last movie. That's like if Return of the Jedi just forgot who Yoda was. And for a creature that represents the healing of the world, his absence during a time of escalating titan warfare is loud. It's almost symbolic in itself. Like the MonsterVerse has room for warlords and kings, but no time for the ones cleaning up after the destruction, which is exactly why Behemoth deserves more attention. This isn't just a background titan. He's the kind of monster who keeps the planet from falling apart after the credits roll. The kind who doesn't need a beam or wings to be dangerous, because he's not fighting for dominance, he's fighting for balance. And maybe that's the scariest thing of all. A titan that's not trying to kill you, but would flatten your city just to make the trees grow back. But if you think Behemoth is underrated because he's peaceful, just wait until we meet a titan that stays hidden until it's already too late. Behemoth might represent restoration, a force of nature with purpose. But what happens when nature doesn't want you to restore anything? What happens when the water itself becomes hostile, and the monster that lives in it doesn't bring balance, just ownership? Because while Behemoth walks the land like a gentle giant, our next titan rules the ocean like a serpent god, and she doesn't share. Tiamat is the kind of titan that makes you realize just how little humans know about what's beneath the surface. She made her official debut in the Kingdom Kong graphic novel, but canonically, she's been out there this whole time, lurking, waiting, coiling through underwater cave systems we haven't even mapped. And that's the key word here, coiling. Unlike aquatic kaiju like Scylla or the Mutos, Tiamat isn't just water adapted, she's hydrodynamic weaponry. Her entire design screams ancient ocean apex predator. Serpentine body, massive pectoral fins for quick propulsion, a frilled neck for display or intimidation, and a sinuous tail that can tear through steel like a whip made of muscle. She doesn't stomp through cities, she waits, like a myth, like a biblical leviathan, beneath the surface, where she owns the terrain, and you don't even know you're in her territory until it's too late. The name Tiamat comes from ancient Mesopotamian mythology. She was the primordial goddess of the ocean, chaos, and mother of monsters. And that's no coincidence. In the MonsterVerse, Tiamat isn't portrayed by chaotic evil. She's not out there to destroy the planet, but she's pure instinctual dominance. When Monarch first encounters her, it's in the flooded caverns of Hollow Earth, a place she's made her own, turning the environment into a death trap for anything that doesn't belong. And unlike titans like Behemoth or Methuselah, who coexist, Tiamat is territorial as hell. When Kong enters her domain during Kingdom Kong, she doesn't hesitate. She ambushes, wraps, and strikes. She doesn't posture, she attacks. And what makes her underrated isn't just her power, it's how different that power is. Tiamat is the MonsterVerse's version of a biological submarine mixed with a constrictor. She uses terrain, speed, and misdirection like an apex ambush predator. Her long body gives her full control of an underwater battlefield, a battlefield humans can't even navigate without dying from pressure, temperature, or lack of light. And then there's the venom. Yes, Tiamat canonically secretes a toxic substance from her fangs, making her not just physically overwhelming, but biochemically lethal. Imagine being pulled underwater by a 100-foot serpent while you're simultaneously being poisoned. That's not just death, that's a ritual. Even Kong, one of the most physically capable titans in the franchise, barely escapes her during their encounter. She drags him into the water, coils around him, and very nearly drowns him before he uses his intelligence to brute strength and break free. If that were almost any other titan, that fight would have ended at the bottom of Hollow Earth's flooded pit. So why is she so underrated? Because she's quiet. Tiamat isn't flashy, she doesn't scream, she doesn't show up in the main films. She rarely has full cinematic appearances, but lore-wise, she's a perfect predator. And more importantly, she's a reminder that the ocean isn't just a setting, it's a kingdom, and she's the queen. In a world where so many titans get treated like gods, or kings, Tiamat is something older, less structured, more primal. She doesn't care about balance, she doesn't fight for dominance, she just exists in her own biome, in total control, daring you to step inside. Because if you do, there's no stomping, no roars, just silence, then bubbles, then bones. But if you think Tiamat's power is unsettling, just wait until we cover the one titan that didn't evolve to survive, it evolved to hunt. Tiamat hides in the water, silent, selective, coiled in her own kingdom, but our next titan, he doesn't hide, he doesn't stalk, he doesn't even wait. He tears the sky apart, and by the time you hear him coming, your city's already on fire. Rodan is one of those titans that everyone recognizes, but almost no one respects. He gets dunked on for losing fights, playing second fiddle to Ghidorah, or just being a lava bird. But here's the reality. Rodan is a flying extinction event, and if he weren't stuck in a franchise with literal gods, he'd be the apex predator of the earth. Let's start with the facts. In King of the Monsters, Rodan emerges from a volcano, and not just any volcano, El Volcan, a real stratovolcano in Mexico. This dude's resting place is the magma chamber. He sleeps in lava. He is lava. His wings are crusted in molten rock. His skin crackles with heat. And when he takes off, he literally erupts from the earth like a living pyroclastic flow. And the first thing he does, he vaporizes an entire fighter squadron with one wing beat. Rodan flies at supersonic speeds, and the shockwaves from his wings alone are enough to flatten buildings, throw tanks, and send entire cities crumbling. Not hypothetically, it happens on screen. And when he escapes the volcano and flies over to a nearby town, the thermal updraft and the sonic force literally tear the city apart. This is where Rodan stands out. He doesn't need to land a hit. He doesn't need to aim. His presence alone, just flying overhead, is enough to kill you. And that makes him one of the most unfairly powerful titans in the MonsterVerse. In a different film, he'd be the final boss. But in King of the Monsters, he's treated like the mid-tier mini-boss. Here's where most fans check out. Oh, but he bent the knee to Ghidorah. He's just a sidekick. Sure. He bows to Ghidorah because Ghidorah is a multi-headed alien space tyrant who terraforms planets for fun. Everyone bows to Ghidorah or dies. But let's be real, Rodan doesn't submit because he's weak. He submits because he's smart. He aligns with the alpha to survive, just like real apex predators do in the wild. Later, when Ghidorah falls, Rodan switches sides again, bowing to Godzilla. He's not loyal, he's tactical. He's not cowardice, that's kaiju level political maneuvering. Rodan is inspired by pterosaurs, yes, but he's built like a weaponized predator jet hybrid. His wingspan is over 800 feet, nearly double that of commercial airliners. His body is aerodynamic, his bones hollow but reinforced. His beak and claws are designed for piercing, not slashing. Impale first, burn second. And his blood, literally described as magma infused. In terms of monster design, he's one of the most realistic high-speed kaiju ever created. He doesn't just fly, he burns a trail across the sky like a meteor that never lands. And that scene when he rises from the volcano with that demonic screech and spirals into the clouds like a vulture from hell, that's not a monster, that's a natural disaster with wings. Now, Rodan has plenty of screen time, but not enough respect. He's overshadowed by Ghidorah's alien lore and Godzilla's nuclear royalty. He doesn't get his own movie, he doesn't talk. He just flies, fights, burns, and bows. But what fans forget is without Rodan, Ghidorah's global domination wouldn't have worked. He was the first to join him and became the Air Force of the apocalypse. And in a world where most titans stomp around slowly or battle on land, Rodan gives the MonsterVerse air superiority. Think about the next time you look up at the sky, because if Rodan's flying, you're already dead. Ah yes, Skullcrawlers, the MonsterVerse equivalent of that hyper kid in class who ate glue and bit teachers. These things are pure violence on 4 legs. Long, slithery, bone-white murder machines with whiplash tails and mouths that stretch like they're trying to inhale your entire existence. Their entire personality is just kill everything that moves, and they move fast. These freaks wiped out Kong's entire species. You sprained your left ankle stepping off a curb. This fight's over before you realize you're even in it. Best case scenario, you stand still and pray it doesn't notice you. Worst case, you make a noise, a sneeze, a fart, a heartbeat, and suddenly you're being swallowed like an appetizer at Kaiju's Applebee's. And if you're thinking, maybe I could run, bro, this thing outran Kong in a jungle. You can't even outrun your responsibilities. Final verdict, Skullcrawlers are bottom tier for titans, but for humans, they're a guaranteed obituary. Built different, you're built delicious. Imagine this, you wake up in Hollow Earth, the sky is upside down, gravity's on hard mode, and you hear something hissing in the distance. That's a warband, the MonsterVerse's version of congratulations, you're food now. Picture a snake, now give it wings. Now make it the size of a private jet and give it the personality of a prison riot. Slither through the air like it's water, wrap around you, and slam you into rocks hard enough to make your ancestors feel it. When Kong fought one, he only won by using it like a fruit roll-up and slamming it into a cliff. That's the level we're at. And guess what? You don't have Kong's fist or plot armor. Warbats don't fight alone. There's always another one. The second one just saw how you move. They're smart, coordinated, and built for ambushes. You don't survive warbats. You decorate their nest. Behemoth looks like a walking national park. Majestic, calm, giant woolly mammoth arms, and tree trunk tusks. You might think, aw, it's like Kaiju Bigfoot. And then he accidentally swipes a cargo ship across the continent. But let's make it clear, Behemoth is not aggressive, but he's also 300 feet tall and weighs more than your entire sense of entitlement. And the tusks, he doesn't just use these for show. In the comics, he cuts through Kaiju flesh like a kid carving a Thanksgiving ham. Even scarier, the dude causes earthquakes just by walking, so you're already dead before you even see him. You ever look at a bat and think, wow, I'm glad that's not the size of the building. Camazotz heard that, took it personally, and pulled up with a wingspan the size of a football field and a roar that sounds like a demon giving birth. This thing isn't just some oversized bat. It's an ancient death god wrapped in leathery skin with a hatred for sunlight and an even deeper hatred for anything breathing. It lives in caves so deep and dark they make your sleep paralysis look like a Disney ride. And when it finally comes out, oh, you'll know. The air pressure drops, the sky gets black. Camazotz don't just fly, they dominate the sky. It can generate vortexes with its wings, scream loud enough to rupture eardrums, and in the comics, it fought Godzilla like it wasn't a big deal. Let me say that again. It took on Godzilla and gave him work. You're just gonna get snatched off the ground and ragdolled into a cliffside like an unpaid intern. The worst part, it doesn't just kill you, it feeds on you. Sucks the life out of you like a cursed Capri Sun. If Godzilla is the king of the monsters, Muto Prime is the evil ex-girlfriend who got custody of every red flag ever. She's massive, angry, and emits EMP blasts so strong she can fry military bases just by existing. Unlike the regular Mutos who already suck, Muto Prime is built different in the worst way. Her entire vibe is anti-Godzilla assassination protocol. She's got sonic shockwave spikes that literally shatter Titan skeletons from the inside. And don't think hiding helps. She can burrow like a giant mole on PCP, popping out of the ground when you least expect it. Let's say she spots you, not that you'd last long enough for that to matter. First, she fries your phone, then she scrambles your brain with a sound wave, and then she hits you with a tail so hard you land in next week. Muto Prime fought Godzilla's ancestors and won. You wouldn't survive this fight. You wouldn't even survive watching it. You know how villains always say, I'll freeze you where you stand? Yeah, Shimo does that without even saying a word. A quadrupled lizard kaiju with ice breath that makes Antarctica look like spring break. She doesn't just freeze things, she shuts down entire ecosystems. Jungle, gone. River, glacier now. This monster was so dangerous, she had to be chained and enslaved by Scar King, and even then she still nearly wiped the floor with cone. She's a titan with literal ice radiation coming off her body. That's not a real element. They made it up just for her because cold wasn't intimidating enough. The second her roar echoes through the air, the temperature drops 60 degrees and your bones start filing for divorce. You're not built for this. You're built frosty. Meet the villain from Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, who looks like Donkey Kong took a dark turn. Scar King is a hulking, red-furred warlord ape with more ego than brains, and more brute force than either. He's not just some Hollow Earth gorilla with rage issues. He's a kaiju tactician who enslaved other titans and literally dragged Shimo around on a leash. This isn't just a titan. This is a godlike monster with a power complex. And he's got a whole civilization of apes that follow him because he's the baddest gorilla in the jungle. Scar King's tail is weaponized. His bone whip is laced with ancient titan tech, and he fights like someone who's been waiting 1,000 years just for beef. Now imagine you, standing there with a backpack and some confidence. He looks at you once and you're already folded like laundry. If he wants, he could swat you with that whip, throw you into a wall, and drag you back as a trophy. You're not the main character here. You're background trauma for someone else's origin story. Ah yes, humanity's brilliant idea. Let's build a Godzilla, but make it a robot. Mechagodzilla is what happens when you mix AI, monster bones, and vibes set to maximize homicide. Built with reverse-engineered Ghidorah tech and powered by a war criminal's dreams, this thing doesn't just kill, it analyzes and upgrades mid-fight. It's got rockets, spinning tail blades, plasma breath, and punches that hit like freight trains. When it first showed up in Godzilla vs. Kong, it didn't just fight, it bodied both of them. It outmaneuvered Godzilla and nearly choked him out in front of the whole Pacific. Now ask yourself, what are you gonna do when it scans you? You can't run, you can't hide, and you definitely can't hack it. Best case scenario, you respawn in another universe with less consequences. Now it's time to talk about Kong, the king of the jungle turned king of the glow-up. This isn't 1933 climb a building Kong. This is a modern, grizzly, battle-scarred, energy axe-wielding Kong who throws hands with titans for fun. Dude lives in Hollow Earth now. Literal kaiju gym, where he fights daily, sleeps standing up, and eats trauma for breakfast. When Warbats tried him, he made a belt out of him. When Mechagodzilla showed up, he soloed after getting CPR by Godzilla. When Scar King threw hands, Kong clapped back with a metal arm upgrade and no hesitation. You'd make eye contact for half a second and assume it was a challenge. You're not surviving that blow, let alone the haymaker that follows. And if you somehow survive that, good for you. Now you're his pet. Built different? Bro, you're built like Kong's lunch. The king of monsters just got a cosmic makeover, and now he's glowing pink like it's Titan's Valentine's Day. Except he's not here to flirt. He's here to erase you from existence. This isn't OG Godzilla. This is I've had enough of your planet's nonsense Godzilla. He took a detour towards Hollow Earth, absorbed raw ancient energy, and came out shining like a radioactive rave demon. And now he's angry. Not Step on Tokyo angry, not atomic breath through a building angry. We're talking nuke the continent from orbit angry. His heat signature alone would vaporize you. You wouldn't even see him coming. Just a rumble, a roar, and then you're gone. Your shadow is the only thing that survives. He's faster, more durable, and stronger than ever. And that atomic breath, now it melts physics. Pink Godzilla doesn't just fight, he ends timelines. So yeah, you're not built different, you're built extinct. These monsters don't just outmatch you, they outclass your entire species. Drop a comment which Titan you think you'd last the longest against. I'm betting you get eaten during the opening credits. Like, sub, and stay indoors. The MonsterVerse ain't safe. Now let's get the obvious one out of the way first. Godzilla's atomic breath has always been the MonsterVerse's "you're done" button, but in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, it evolved into something far beyond a heat ray. This wasn't a breath attack anymore, it was a planetary delete key. Pink Glow Godzilla, or Thermonuclear 2.0, or whatever nickname you want to slap on him, absorbs Hollow Earth radiation, supercharges his spine with pure ancient energy, and then casually unleashes a beam so violently hot, it bends reality. You don't see this breath coming, you feel your atoms scream first. This version of atomic breath isn't just heat, it's total molecular breakdown. We're talking about a blast that can shoot vertically into the earth and still obliterate everything in its path for miles in either direction. Bunkers, gone. Armor, doesn't matter. Other titans got reduced to mist. Let's break it down. Godzilla's normal blue beam was already ridiculous. It vaporized Muto nests, melted Ghidorah heads, and leveled city blocks. But this pink variation takes that and multiplies it by Hollow Earth rage. It's hotter, faster, and leaves that eerie silence afterward. Like the world has to take a moment to recover. One of the scariest things about it, the warning sign. The slow rise in pitch, the cracking glow in the spines, and then boom, pure devastation. If you're in visual range when he starts charging it, you're already too close. And if you're a titan on the receiving end, your only strategy is don't be there. What makes this breath attack terrifying isn't just the scale, it's the precision. In the New Empire, Godzilla doesn't just blast widely. He uses the atomic breath like a sniper rifle that shoots thermonuclear death. He drills into the Hollow Earth. He surgically targets key points. This isn't just a wild animal lashing out. It's a tactical weapon with nuclear-grade execution. Even Kong, who's usually pretty fearless, flinches when this breath fires up. You can see it in his body language. He doesn't run, but he doesn't stand still either, because even he knows when the air turns pink, it's time to move. And remember, this isn't even Godzilla's final form. This is just the version we've seen so far, and for all we know, next time he glows, it might be ultraviolet and come with time travel. The verdict? Terrifying not just for the sheer power, but because it's so focused. It's like if a Titan brought a laser pointer to a flamethrower fight, and the laser pointer was the flamethrower. Survival time? Less than 1 second if you're within a mile, maybe 3 seconds if you're hiding under a mountain. Doesn't matter, you're done. If Godzilla's breath attack is a sniper shot made of nuclear fire, King Ghidorah's breath is the opposite. It's chaos, it's a storm, it's a wrath of the gods level lightning apocalypse with a personality disorder. King Ghidorah doesn't have one head, or one breath attack. He has 3, and each one is packing a gravity beam that looks like lightning and hits like divine judgment. When Ghidorah opens all 3 mouths, it's not an attack, it's a statement. I am the storm, and your city is now compost. Let's talk about what these gravity beams actually do. These aren't just lightning bolts. They rip through metal like tinfoil. They knock titans off their feet, and when Ghidorah goes full berserk mode, they create EMPs, short out everything in the area, and somehow manage to light the sky on fire. In King of the Monsters, entire fighter jet squadrons got obliterated just for flying too close. One blast nearly ends Rodan, a literal volcano bird. Another sends Godzilla flying backwards. How many things in the MonsterVerse can even do that? What's worse, Ghidorah doesn't aim like a trained sniper. He thrashes, he spams the beams, and unleashes them in wild, furious bursts that level everything around him, including the landscape. It's like watching a toddler swing 3 flamethrowers while screaming. And here's the terrifying part. Ghidorah's breath changes the weather. He doesn't just bring a storm with him, he is the storm. In every scene where he uses the beams, the sky goes dark, lightning cracks across the horizon, and the whole world feels like it's having a panic attack. Imagine being in a city when this happens. 1 second you're stuck in traffic, the next the atmosphere rips open and 3 golden heads start vaporizing skyscrapers. There's no warning, no buildup, just crackling light, electromagnetic pulses, and a storm so thick you don't know which direction to run. Not that it would help or anything. And Ghidorah isn't even from Earth. He's a spacefaring alpha predator, a living extinction event who came here specifically to turn the planet into his private ecosystem. His gravity beams aren't just an attack, they're a form of terraforming. Even Godzilla has trouble dealing with them. In King of the Monsters, Ghidorah uses his beams to pin Godzilla against the buildings, interrupt his breath charges, and even temporarily KO him. If it weren't for Mothra and a last-minute radiation buff, Ghidorah might have won. And that's saying something considering Big G eats nukes for breakfast. So what makes Ghidorah's breath attacks terrifying? It's the unpredictability. It's not one beam, it's 3. It's not one direction, it's a wide sweeping area of destruction. And it's never used gently. When Ghidorah fires, the intent is always maximum chaos. The verdict? The scariest part isn't the damage, it's the atmosphere. When Ghidorah uses those beams, the world changes, the sky darkens, the wind howls, and then you're just gone. Survival time, I'll give about 4 seconds if you're lucky and duck behind reinforced concrete, but the real threat, you won't see it coming. The lightning will hit before your brain finishes processing the roar. You know a kaiju is serious when just flapping its wings levels cities. But Rodan, he doesn't just fly, he turns the sky into a weapon, the air into fire, and if you're close enough to hear his breath attack, you're already halfway to becoming ash. Now here's the deal. Rodan technically doesn't have a traditional breath weapon in the way Godzilla or Ghidorah does. There's no focused beam or laser, but what Rodan does have is something arguably worse. His screech, a sound so powerful it literally burns. That's not hyperbole. Rodan's breath is a combination of superheated plasma exhaust, sonic force, and volcanic gas, funneled through his beak in a way that acts like a wide area pressure wave with flames attached. Let's break this down. Rodan emerges from a volcano in King of the Monsters, and the second he takes to the sky, the surrounding city is toast. Literally, every flap of his wings generate a shockwave that levels entire blocks, but when he screams, and I mean really lets loose, it's not just a sound, it's the air igniting around you. That iconic screech he lets out as he buzzes fighter jets, it's essentially an exploding sound wave with the heat of an active lava flow riding shotgun. And the effect isn't cinematic fluff. In universe, it's devastating. Rodan's screech has been shown to shatter reinforced glass from miles away, melt the skin off living creatures caught in close proximity, disorient even other titans with sheer sonic force. The sound itself is deep and guttural, almost ancient, like a god vomiting lava. And because Rodan's entire body is superheated from his time inside the volcanoes, that breath is fueled by magma in his bloodstream. When he screeches, it's not just his voice, it's the Earth's crust screaming out with him. Picture this, you're on a rooftop watching as a shadow sweeps across the horizon. You think it's a storm cloud, then it moves like a bird. No, not a bird. A burning god. It gets closer, the temperature rises, then that sound. Not like thunder, not like a jet engine. It's more like what death would have sounded like if it had vocal cords. Seconds later, windows burst, flames erupt, and your body goes flying like a leaf in a firestorm. Even military jets don't stand a chance. There's a reason Rodan is called the Fire Demon. When he roars at full power, he essentially sets the sky on fire. It's like Godzilla's atomic breath, if it were dispersed through a flamethrower tornado and screamed into your ears first. And unlike some kaiju, Rodan enjoys it. He taunts aircraft, barrels through missiles, and lets out his volcanic screech mid-dive just like a war cry. He's not just weaponized, he's cocky. He's the kaiju equivalent of a fighter pilot with too many confirmed kills and no regard for the Geneva Conventions. Rodan's screech is less of a breath attack and more of a superheated shockwave, riding out of his body like the sonic equivalent of lava. It can't be dodged, it can't be blocked, and if you're within range, you're not running, you're cooking. I'll give the survival time 2 seconds. Half a second to hear the screech, half a second to regret your life choices, and 1 more second to burst into flames. Let's say you took Godzilla's atomic breath, stripped it of any soul, gave it a machine upgrade, and then programmed it to hate everything. That's Mechagodzilla's proton scream, the cold, calculated cousin of Godzilla's breath that doesn't just burn, it disintegrates. When Mechagodzilla showed up in Godzilla vs. Kong, it wasn't just a backup plan, it was Apex Cybernetics' nuclear-powered middle finger to the Titan world. And once Ghidorah's neural patterns took control of the machine, all bets were off. This wasn't just a robot, it was a kaiju Terminator with a laser cannon for a throat. And that cannon, that's what we're talking about. Mechagodzilla's proton scream is a high-intensity particle beam that fires from its mouth. It's bright red, it cuts through solid surfaces like butter, and the second it lights up, someone is about to get cooked. It's not as elegant or radiant as Godzilla's atomic breath, there's no build-up glow, no epic roar. Mechagodzilla's proton scream just happens. Sudden, mechanical, and brutal. Let's talk about raw power. In the film, Mechagodzilla uses the proton scream to melt through reinforced walls and weaponized facilities, blast Godzilla in the chest with enough force to stagger him, completely overpower the King of the Monsters in a head-to-head beam clash. That last one is important, because if you remember Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla's atomic breath vaporized entire kaiju like they were ants in a microwave. So if Mechagodzilla can push that beam back and even win the exchange, that tells you everything. Picture yourself watching this from a rooftop. Maybe you're a brave journalist, or maybe you just didn't evacuate in time. Mechagodzilla stomps into frame, its spine glowing with red hue that looks more demonic than electric. Then the mouth opens. There's no roar, just a mechanical whine, like a jet engine charging up for hell. Then, the scream. It's not sound you hear, it's force. A straight line of red energy punches across the skyline, vaporizing anything in his path. Glass melts, steel warps, and if you were even remotely in its way, your skeleton flash fried into the pavement. Actually, scratch that. You're not even bones. You're carbon atoms getting launched into the stratosphere. Unlike organic titans, Mechagodzilla doesn't get tired. It doesn't aim for center mass, it aims for lethality. Its programming isn't built on dominance, it's built on elimination. In the proton scream, that's the kill command. Let's not also forget, this isn't a wild beast lashing out. This is a weapon, controlled, at least initially, by a satellite-linked AI, then by Ghidorah's consciousness. It's thinking while it fires, calculating, tracking, anticipating. It's not just blowing fire, it's aiming for your weakest point. The verdict? The proton scream is what happens when kaiju breath attacks go cyberpunk. It's faster than atomic breath, more focused than a traditional blast, and fired with surgical, remorseless precision. If Godzilla's breath is a warning, Mechagodzilla's is an execution. Survival time? Less than a second. If you see red, that was your last thought, and if you hear the scream, you were already too close. You ever light a candle and it accidentally flares up way too fast and way too hot, and then you instinctively jump back? Now imagine that candle is a 400-foot reptilian god with radiation leaking from every inch of his body, and instead of lighting your fingertips on fire, he turns your entire city into a lava lamp. Welcome to Thermonuclear Godzilla, or as fans lovingly call him, Fire Godzilla. This form debuts in the climax of Godzilla King of the Monsters, after Mothra transfers her life force into him, essentially supercharging Big G with her divine bug magic and radioactive vengeance. It's not just Godzilla's normal atomic breath turned up, it's something else entirely, a walking, glowing mass extinction event. And when his standard breath attack was already melting kaiju faces, this new version didn't just shoot out energy, it radiated it. Constantly, like a living meltdown. Even before he opens his mouth, the environment around him starts dying. Buildings melt just from him walking, streets catch on fire from him breathing. His body pulses like a nuclear heart rate monitor set to annihilate. Now, the actual breath attack, it's no longer a beam, it's a pulse, a wave, an unstoppable wall of thermonuclear death that expands out of him like a shockwave, cooking anything in its radius. In the final battle, he walks through King Ghidorah's gravity beams, glowing brighter and hotter with each step, and then unleashes unleashes a full body detonation and melts the three-headed dragon alive. That's right, it doesn't just hit you, it engulfs you. If you were somehow anywhere near Boston when this happened, your survival odds weren't zero, they were negative. No warning, no time to react, just a moment of silence followed by the air itself catching on fire. Let's paint the scene. You're huddled in a basement, thinking maybe you're far enough away. Then the ground starts humming, your walls start glowing red, and then there's light. Bright, all-consuming, skin-blistering light, followed by heat that doesn't just burn, it vaporizes. From a biological standpoint, Fire Godzilla's pulse is releasing millions of degrees of heat energy in all directions. An instant, omnidirectional kill zone. There's no duck and cover. There's no outrunning it. This is what would happen if a hydrogen bomb became sentient and decided to walk downtown. And it's not just raw heat. It's radiation. High-level, bone-rotting, DNA-shredding radiation. If you somehow survive the initial blast, and you wouldn't, the fallout alone would reduce your lifespan to about the same as a Snapchat story. Even the other Titans, the one that bow to Godzilla, keep their distance when he's glowing orange. They know, everyone knows, this isn't dominance, this is a funeral pyre in motion. And here's the scariest part, he didn't need to aim it. He didn't need to charge it. He didn't even scream first. He just let it happen, like an angry sun choosing to flare. The verdict? Thermonuclear Godzilla doesn't just kill you with a beam. He kills you with being. His very presence is a death sentence. That breath attack? Not his weapon. That's his atmosphere. Survival time? 0.0 seconds. If you're close enough to see it, you're already gone. There's no aftermath, just ashes. So yeah, if you thought you could survive a Titan's breath attack, think again. These aren't fireballs. They're extinction level events with soundtracks. Which one do you think would kill you the fastest? Or do you think you could actually survive one? Be honest. Drop a comment, hit that button like a Titan's weak spot, and subscribe for more MonsterVerse breakdowns every week. Because in this world, breathing might just be the deadliest thing you can do.